No, it's not a
No?
corgi. It's something else. I'm spacing on it at the moment. Shiba? Is it a Shiba Inu?
I don't know. Some kind of a Japanese dog. You're getting a nod from the dog person behind you.
Shiba Inu. So anyway, so the latest news here is that people were talking late last night about buying up Dogecoin, and the price was already, I believe, shooting up at some point yesterday. It shot up like 400% yesterday and went up even further in the overnight, I think it was. And then early in the morning today, according to CNBC.com, Robinhood app has restricted trading in cryptocurrencies as the price of Doge rose sharply. Users began reporting that the trading app had halted instant deposits for crypto purchases earlier in the day, meaning they could only buy the currencies with funds already deposited in their accounts. Such deposits can take up to 5 business days to clear, said Robinhood. Quote, due to extraordinary market conditions, we've temporarily turned off instant buying power for crypto. So for everybody that heard the news about Doge and wanted to go to their Robinhood app to purchase some Doge, they were unable to do that because if they didn't already have a balance from which they could buy the Doge, they then would have to use their bank account to fund the app. But Robinhood restricted the instant funding and said, well, we're going to only make it so you can do a 5-day long funding.
You know, as funny as that is, I kind of feel like that might have been, I don't think they should have restricted it, but at the same time, it's like it might have been a good thing if people aren't buying it.
Why is it a good thing?
Well, I mean, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is not super inflationary, so it's basically you're always declining in value.
Actually, what I recall is that Doge during the crash actually held its value slightly better than Bitcoin did. But I don't believe it's mathematically. I don't believe there's anything. I think it's the same.
Well, if it's not Dogecoin, then what other coin is there for joke coins? Isn't there? I know there's one that's like super inflationary.
Yeah, there is. It's called Ripple.
No, it's not Ripple.
No,
Ripple's not
because Ripple has
I do
trillions
I don't
of
like
these things in reserve somewhere that are held by the company.
So it is a coin that does not have a maximum supply.
Okay.
So unlike Bitcoin, Bitcoin has a maximum supply of 21 million. Doge is also what's considered a dust currency, meaning that it's not worth a whole lot and it can go down a bunch of decimal points or whatever. So it's very, very small value crypto. So there's 130 billion Doge in the marketplace right now, and I don't know how many Doge come out per block. I'm not sure about that, but according to CoinGecko.com, it looks like Doge has shot up the charts. It is currently ranked at number 12 on out of the total market caps, and it has gone up over 438% in just the last week, with most of that rise being in the last 48 hours. So I believe it peaked up at around 8 cents per Doge, I think sometime in the last 24 hours. And
interesting.
And it's currently sitting at around, I don't have the dollar price right now, but last I looked, it was like 4.5 cents. So the Robinhood people decided they didn't want to let you buy some cryptocurrency with instant funding today. So anyone that wanted to buy today was told that you had to wait 5 days to get the money out of your bank account instead of being able to just instantly do a withdrawal. The number
seems like the takeaways don't mess with Robinhood.
Yeah, they are bad news. Very centrally controlled. They claim they're all about democratizing finance, but it's clear that they get to decide what you can and can't buy. 603-283-6160.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, and you may join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Robinhood app has restricted trading on various different stocks that they don't think you should have, and then went back on that. They reversed their position, and then they said they would allow you to trade, but only in limited quantities. Now today they're saying that you can't buy crypto with an instant bank transfer, so you have to wait 5 days. If you wanted to get in on the whole Dogecoin craze, then sorry, Robinhood's not the way to do that. You probably should get a real cryptocurrency exchange account if you're looking to make quick trades when
or
something
just meet
happens.
me in the alley behind the bar.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but sometimes you're asleep, nobody. So
Sometimes I'm asleep. You can wake me up for large transactions. So.
That's funny.
So if you want to comment, you are welcome to join us here. By the way, Free Talk Live brought to you by Bitcoin.com. That is where you can go to learn about cryptocurrency. A lot of people are interested now. Now that the price of Bitcoin is up, all of a sudden there's renewed interest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So take a little bit of your time and go and just learn about it. Spend 10 minutes over at Bitcoin.com. Click on Get Started there at the top of the page, and they'll tell you about Bitcoin, and they'll tell you about Bitcoin Cash and what are some of the key differences between them, what you need to know over at Bitcoin.com. Plus, if you are not new to crypto, if you are old school, you want to get the latest news headlines, they've got those for you too over at news.bitcoin.com. So with you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Scott, the bigot, is on the line in Florida. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Scott.
Good evening, Ian, Chris, and Mr. Nobody.
What's on your mind, Scott?
I'd like to say this. I'm very happy today. I'm happy that Reddit's day traders shorted GameStop and AMC, and I'll tell you why. Because for too long, Wall Street has cheated the American people out of not billions, trillions of dollars. They've been swindled. They've been had. So Wall Street got everything they deserve, but they're hypocrites, Wall Street. They don't complain when they steal from Main Street, but they cry when Main Street has beaten them at their own game. And today is historic, gentlemen, because Main Street did indeed, the little man beat them at their own game. And just to show you what hypocrites Wall Street is, how evil and ruthless they are. Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase, did you know that he deliberately suppressed the prices of precious metals such as gold and silver to keep the U.S. dollar low? Did you know that?
They've been doing it for decades to keep the dollar high, to keep the dollar price of silver and gold low.
In fact, I've actually heard that the Wall Street bets, that Reddit that we've been talking about, the people that have been doing this purchasing of the GameStop, rumor has it they may be pumping up the price of silver next. What they're claiming is that these hedge funds have been shorting silver as well, so placing bets.
Not just the hedge funds. Everybody's been. J.P. Morgan, as Dude said, has been shorting. They've been shorting silver for decades, and that's one of the reasons that you can't get physical delivery.
Yeah, so I saw a rumor today that they're talking about buying up silver. Now, I don't know if that's true, because I don't know if they're putting out misinformation now to try to throw the hedge funds off the trail or what. But this is going to be interesting to watch, especially if they're able to actually see where these hedge funds have placed their bets, because then they can just target every single one of the stocks or the silver or whatever that they're putting their shorts on.
Well, I would say that silver and gold are probably going to be their most fertile fields, because I think those have been suppressed below their natural value for a long time, which isn't the case with, say, GameStop, which is actually a dying company for all I know.
That's
to show you how ruthless Wall Street is. Just to show you how ruthless. Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs and Larry Fink of BlackRock have been playing their games for decades. Let's not forget Bernie Madoff. He swindled $55 billion from his clients. What about venture capitalists like Steve Cohen, Paul Singer, and Carl Icahn, who are parasites and vultures?
I don't know anything about those people. What are you saying that they do?
They gobble up companies. They leave nothing but the bones, leaving once healthy companies bankrupt and their workers unemployed.
Now, why would a venture? I don't know enough about finance. Isn't a venture capitalist somebody who puts money into a thing to try to make, as an investment to try to make money?
But they get fees and they get out early, so it doesn't necessarily mean that they win no matter what. Basically, so it doesn't matter what you invest in.
Well, no, they win except when they lose. They go bankrupt too. But what venture capitalists do is they buy up companies, like they might buy up GameStop at the end, and then take all the physical stuff that belongs to GameStop and sell it to other companies, because they still have, buildings. They still have.
They rent, don't they?
Whatever. I don't know what they have, but they have assets of some sort. Maybe that eventually have to be gotten rid of.
Sure.
They are greedy and evil international Jewish bankers, and before you get upset with me,
God, you had to go there.
Not again.
No,
right? No Christian would ever do anything like this, right? Ridiculous.
Wow.
This is all you ever talk about. I'm sick of it. Can't we move on to something else?
Yeah, we can.
Let me tell you about Paul Singer. He took a healthy company, Cabela. You've heard of Cabela Sporting Goods, haven't you?
Uh-huh.
It was a healthy company. Look on the internet. In Sydney, Nebraska, their headquarters, it was a thriving company. He destroyed the company. He bought the assets up on pennies on the dollar. The employees, thousands of employees, have been left unemployed. The company is bankrupt, and he destroyed it. because he made billions for himself and he wrecked the company.
And why was he able to buy it up for pennies on the dollar if it was such a healthy company? Shouldn't other people have been wanting to buy it as well?
No, they wait for the stock. They I don't know how they work it. They play games with the stock price. And they buy it up.
I don't know, Scott. I mean, the reason why people were able to buy up GameStop is because it was dying, and the reason why, and I don't know anything about Cabela's, but if it was available for pennies on the dollar, that means they were near to out of business already. And maybe that's because of Amazon or other online purchasing and competition.
The only thing I remember about Cabela's is that they badly screwed themselves by irritating the gun rights community.
They restricted sales.
Yeah, they restricted gun sales or took guns out of there. But gun people were mad at them.
Yeah,
which is you don't want to irritate the gun people.
No, especially when they're buying all their camping supplies from you and all the other stuff that they get. Thank you for the call, Scott. I appreciate it. It's just I don't know why he can't see that there are plenty of people who are in search of power. There are plenty of people who are willing to wield power in order to get money, and it doesn't matter what their religious belief is or whatever their, ethnicity is. They're all over the world, all of them.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
There are Asian people who are like that. There are African people who are like that. There are Russians who are like that. There are people all over the world who will take advantage of other human beings, who will take advantage of being able to just throw people's lives away just to make a buck. Those people are all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, one of the largest and bloodiest mafias in the world is composed almost entirely of wasps. And I'm talking, of course, about the United States government.
603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. You can bring up anything that you want. Coming up here, there's been some really interesting artwork that has been popping up in Federal Reserve cities promoting Bitcoin. We'll tell you about it on the way here. This is Free Talk Live.
Doodle, Stuart, Harold, and Pork Chop. Pork Chop, his beautiful blonde coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. They did a DNA test on the 4 rescues. The first year is just a complete retraining. Lots of love, discipline, and daily upkeep. I'm a registered nurse and a personal trainer. If I eat healthy, then my dog should eat healthy. DINOVITE.com. They need the vitamins and minerals that Dynavite provides.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Harold, the Border Collie Pit Mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before. Doodle, he's a poodle cocker spaniel. His energy is tremendous. The Dynavite will make your dog happy, vivacious, jump up and down, wag their tails. It will make you smile.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15% to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything here. 603-283-6160 is the number. That's 603-283-6160. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
Of course, you can bring up anything you want here, and we're going to continue with your calls and thoughts. But I do want to say thank you to Teddy Graham, who is a Free Talk Live Gold Amplifier. Teddy Graham contributing $10 a month to the AMP program. If you appreciate the work that we do here on Free Talk Live and you want to help support this show, then please go to amp.freetalklive.com, where you can get signed up there for just $5 a month, and it helps us get on more radio stations around the country. And so I appreciate you, Teddy Graham, for doing that. And everybody else who's an amplifier here of Free Talk Live. It makes a big difference for us when you do that, and you get some cool perks and some benefits as well. Go learn more about it, and you can get signed up with major credit cards and debit cards and PayPal, and also Bitcoin BTC at amp.freetalklive.com. In fact, one of those newest radio stations we're on is WTPL, which is FM 107.7 there in the Concord, New Hampshire area, and that's where Bill is tuned into tonight. Go ahead, Bill. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, yes. My biggest problem is I have a trouble with the media as far as following up on news stories that we hear in the morning and it goes on all day. We never hear the final outcome. Namely, whatever happened to the two hikers that were up in Mount Washington and lost their shoes, or one lost their shoes and their backpacks, and we've never heard anything more about them.
When was this story?
It just fades off to the sunset.
When did this story happen?
Just this past week.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they didn't find
I think it was probably last weekend. And,
wow.
So there's multiple issues with no follow-up, and it becomes a little disconcerting when, you're concerned about whatever happened to whomever had a problem, and it just goes on and on.
So So just to clarify, I do see a story here from the Boston Globe a couple of weeks ago saying that two hikers, age 20, fell 500 feet on Mount Washington but escaped serious injury. Was that the story you were referring to?
Good Lord.
No. There were two, a 34 and 35-year-old, and they were hiking in the White Mountains, and they lost their backpacks and lost their shoes. And
yikes!
That's a bad.
What's that even happen?
To hypothermia, based on the fact that they were walking barefoot in the snow. And
bad plan. Yeah.
Wow.
Really cold temperatures, and never heard anything more about it. And where were they from, and how did it come out? They were rescued by helicopter. And
well, news media is definitely worse, I think, than it's ever been in my lifetime, at least, as far as, like you're saying, doing follow-ups, as far as getting the facts correct, as far as keeping opinion out of their so-called journalism. I mean, news is in a real bad shape right now. Plus, you've got a lot of the old news organizations like newspapers, some of them just going straight up out of business. Others are dramatically cost-cutting, taking staff members out completely, removing entire departments, closing down on production, having maybe half the production that they used to, like going 3 times a week instead of 7 times a week, cutting down the size of the paper. I mean, there's been all kinds of just reductions in staffing, and of course, that's got to reduce quality, at some level. They're probably relying more on centralized news sources like AP for their content than they ever have. So, I think the best solution here is with the essential, for lack of a better term, citizen journalism. I mean, people who actually care enough about an issue to go out and report on it themselves and to try to get.
Well, I think local news probably takes a back seat to the national news and what Nancy Pelosi's doing and whomever, and so it gets a little disconcerting when you have a sincere interest in what might be happening locally.
I'm amazed actually at how much local news there is. I don't know. Like I came from New Jersey.
All news
to
is
New
local
Hampshire,
somewhere,
and I don't remember there being anywhere near as many local media outlets as there are in New Hampshire.
Really?
I mean, there's local radio stations. There's multiple local papers in some cases, and I just didn't. I mean, there was. I guess there were like county news outlets and things, but like towns and things have like.
Well, if you think New Hampshire is healthier than New Jersey, then that's a real sad case for New Jersey, because New Hampshire is pretty bad as far as its news options are concerned. I mean, there's only one major TV station in New Hampshire, and there's only ever been one of them. There's a smaller station now, WBIN, which competes with them. So, I mean, there is a competitor, but that's about it. There are, a handful of talk radio stations across New Hampshire.
I think considering the population of New Hampshire, I think it's well covered. I mean, at least, I'm not saying New Jersey doesn't have more coverage in terms of like, but the population's larger too. So
what's the population in New Jersey?
I don't know, but it's
millions. It's got to be millions.
I mean, we're talking like New York City alone is 8 million people, and that's like right near New Jersey, and there's also Pennsylvania.
I was going to say, I don't think New York City's in New Jersey anymore.
No, it's not. But there's it's the tri-state area, and it's huge, that population.
Go ahead, Bill.
I hate to admit, but I did come from New Jersey. 55 years ago, I moved to New Hampshire, but
good
at
choice.
That time we did have radio stations that communicated local news, but I guess it's a sign of the times.
I think that I think news is in an awkward phase, right now, where you're seeing the elderly population, which has always subscribed to a newspaper, has been dying off, over time. So literally the newspapers and a lot of the cable television channels are losing their subscribers by, attrition. And so a lot of them don't know what to do to transition into the sort of new world, because it's hard to get an old dog, to teach an old dog new tricks. These are old dinosaurs of journalism, and they just don't know how to do it a new way. Their idea of getting on the internet is putting up a paywall so no one can read their content. And that's just not what the internet is looking for. The internet believes things should be open and accessible generally, right? Like that's the way it's always been online. And so when you get organizations like the New York Times in there, they have this old mentality of, we got to charge everybody. And I understand it's hard to make money on free news. I get it. Like, I'm not saying it's an easy transition, which is why I say it's an awkward time frame for these companies. There's not really anything that's out there that's sort of ready to replace the old media, like at the same level of production. Like, freekeen.com is a blog site that I blog on, but I only blog when I feel like it. Yeah. I'm not on some sort of schedule. I think what the issue is that the amount of money that went to newspapers and other media outlets in the old days was huge. It was substantial, and now the problem is that they're
still working off this idea that they have all this ad revenue and all this money coming in. And they don't. And it's not necessarily that it has to be such a bloated operation. They could slim down.
They could.
And do it more efficiently, but they're not used to that, and so they're going under instead.
Well, and it was that way. What you just said right now would have been true a year ago before COVID hit. And then COVID hit, and now it's 10 times as true.
That's true.
Because it's not clear whether COVID hit, but the government certainly hit.
Okay, right. No doubt about it.
I mean, certainly, I think there's probably still some argument to be had that it isn't just the government's reaction.
Yeah,
to
some
it.
people would still be frightened even if the government weren't being, overreacting towards this. But what happened as a result of the various lockdowns and such and less business going on out there is newspaper advertisers, and Bill, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Newspaper advertisers dropped off the radar. The local newspaper, which for years had been doing what you were talking about, slimming down, they literally cut the number of pages, they cut the width of the paper, they increased the price. I'm sure they fired some people as well, but they actually begged for donations last year, because they didn't have any advertisers left. So they actually went to a donation model for their newspaper, and they put up a GoFundMe request where they asked for, I think it was around $40,000 to continue operating the newspaper.
Wow. Did they get it?
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
They did. But those are desperate times. And this is a newspaper this is New Hampshire's oldest paper. Keene's paper is, as from what I understand, it was founded in the late 1700s. So, they paid off their building. But they still had to beg. They still had to beg. There's more coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com. Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Here in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
Of course, you can bring up whatever you want to talk about. And by the way, I did look up the population of New Jersey since we were talking about it in the last segment. 8.88 million people. So a lot,
Eight
lot
times
more.
The
and that's just, and keep in mind that the tri-state area is substantially more than that. So, and that, you know, most of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania there, in that tri-state area region is New York City alone is 8 million people. So, like, that's.
There are 8 million stories in the naked city.
Most of the people in New Jersey are focused around that during that New York City, Philadelphia region. So it's a lot.
Yeah, so it's about 6 times, just over 6 times the population of New Hampshire. We were talking about, our caller had called in to ask about, you know, the status of news media today, and he was, you know, begrudging the dismal state of news media. And so, you know, I was pointing out that this is a situation that is at a bit of an awkward growth phase for internet news options. Like,
did you find out what happened to the barefoot people? Because I'm curious too. I want to know what happened to their shoes.
No, I couldn't even find the original story about that, so I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea. But that's the thing, you know, lack of follow-up, lack of...
the thing is, lack of follow-up shouldn't make things disappear.
I mean, I didn't look that hard for it.
We're already there. Okay.
I didn't look that hard. Because honestly, I don't really care about what happened to the people on the mountain. But other people do.
Yeah.
And
inquiring minds want to know.
If you want to go
I want to know how these people lost their damn shoes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what could cause me when I'm out hiking through the mountains to say to myself, I think I'm going to go barefoot a little.
Yeah, it seems
I'll
like a bad
probably be
plan.
able to hold on to them.
I mean, that's one of those Darwinian kind of factors where I just don't find myself concerned with what happens to people that want to go up a mountain barefoot. It just seems like a really bad plan. Probably not going to work out too well. But his concern, I think, is legitimate about the status of news media out there. I mean, there's a ton of media. Like, we are deluged by media now. I mean, there's online, you've got no shortage of options, both international, local, state, national. I mean, you can pick from a variety of different opinions, and that's a great thing. But it makes it hard for local media to survive, because local media used to get by on the fact that they were one of only a few options, and they were the ones with the local news and other news. Well, now you can get your other news from anywhere you want. You know, you can go to a ton of different places to get the latest AP headlines. Local news, you can't get it from that many places, and the ones that are left are going out of business. So there's like I said, this awkward phase where there's both a ton of news and also not really the news you might be looking for.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Isn't that what Twitter was developed for?
Twitter isn't news. I mean, Twitter.
People treat it like
Twitter
that.
was for censorship. I don't know. I don't look at Twitter anymore.
You're right. Twitter is very censorship prone, probably, but still,
it's a place where people could share things.
It's frequently where the news, and I put news in quotes, sources material from. So
that is true.
That's why I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
And that's what Twitter's for,
right? And that's another interesting thing that has happened is that we've seen this sort of flippening going on, where it used to be the news, sort of broke the news, but now the news is relying on Twitter and other centralized, online social platforms as their news breaking. Source, like, oh, so-and-so said on Twitter, and then they'll post the tweet, they'll show the tweet in the news report. And sometimes they'll report on what people are saying on Twitter. That on its own has been shown as a news report.
So now the people break the news, and then once they get their orders from their masters, the major media fixes it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lies to you about what it means.
Well, that's after Twitter already fixed it anyway, because they won't let you, say certain things on those.
Yeah,
that's
true. Now we're going to have to break the news somewhere else so Twitter can fix it.
Well, we have a somewhere else. Luckily, it's Free Talk Live Social, and you can go to social.freetalklive.com. It's a Mastodon platform. And it's working great. I have not checked the statistics for this last week, but the last I looked, there were over 160 users there after the first 2 weeks, and they'd posted over 500 statuses, and that was several days ago. So,
will you let Trump toot if he signs up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I have no reason to tell someone they can't use our service unless they're doing it to somehow abuse other people.
But I can tell him he's an idiot, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, groovy.
I have to say, I've seen a lot of new, I don't even know how to phrase it, but subscribers or, people subscribing to my Mastodon feed or whatever.
Tutors? What do you call them?
I don't know. I don't even know I don't know what the Twitter terminology is, so I really don't know what the Mastodon terminology.
I know
it's definitely tooting, but like you can subscribe to people. I think
that sounds
somehow.
gassy.
You can follow people.
Yeah.
Followers.
Is that
that's the word.
what is the term that Mastodon uses
I
versus
don't know.
Twitter? Do you know?
That's a good
question. Do you
question.
know what Twitter uses?
Followers?
You follow somebody?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think you follow on both of the platforms. Let's go to Teddy Graham. He's on the line. He's one of our viewers on twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead, Teddy Graham.
Hey, guys. I heard my name, so I figured I'd call in. What I wanted to talk about, though, was since nobody's here on the show today, I wanted to ask nobody. It's been mentioned a couple of times in recent history about nobody calling for violence. And I went back and looked at a couple of those, and they really just seem to be emotional or heat in the moment. And I've met nobody. I think he's a really nice guy. He doesn't seem angry or violent in any way to me. So I think we could at least just get a statement from him now.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't want there to be violence. I think there will be violence because eventually I think the government will come and try to shut people down who are speaking out. Not necessarily this particular group, but we've had stories about the government ramping up, talking about putting COVID dissenters in concentration camps. We've had people saying that Biden's intelligence service should be going after libertarians. So, I would say that I certainly think that people should fight back if and when the government comes after them, because they're not going to get any justice from the government. They're not going to get anything but robbed blind and probably murdered.
No, but is that what he's actually referencing, though? I think he was referencing something else in regards to cracking down on corporations or something that you've mentioned.
No,
in the
I think
past
he was talking about
the violent
fighting the government kind of violence. That's what you were talking about, right, Teddy Graham?
Yes, like I said, I haven't personally heard that, but I know it's been brought up on the show a couple of times. So now that Rich Paul is actually on the show,
okay,
I figured that's a better time to actually have that conversation.
I didn't know it had been a topic of conversation, but thanks for bringing it up.
So you're talking about self-defensive violence, then?
Well, yeah. I mean, violence against the state is by definition self-defense, right, because the state is robbing you. The state is taking your freedom.
Absolutely.
So what I would like to see is I don't want to see the violence start. I want to see the violence end. It started 200 years ago.
But wait, nobody, are you saying it's justified to go and just like bomb a police station, just because somebody got arrested in the past?
Would it be justified? I mean, probably technically if they've arrested someone for a victimless crime. But then again, a bomb is a very it's not a very sharp tool.
Just because it's justifiable doesn't necessarily mean it's the best strategy.
Well, yeah, that's why I haven't blown anything up. But the
so you're not saying you want to see. You're not saying you want to see any action like that.
No, I think tactically that would be a losing move.
Okay.
But I mean, certainly if somebody is killing George Floyd out on the street, do you have a right to fight back? Absolutely. And that's a case where I think I would have loved to see different violence. I would have loved to see somebody kick that cop in the face and get him off George Floyd while George Floyd was still alive.
Maybe a better way to phrase it is...
But that would be a reduction in violence because nobody would have died of that.
Maybe a better way to phrase it is you're not going to find the person who kills the officer who killed George Floyd, in defense of this guy, guilty if you were on a trial.
I certainly would not find him guilty, but, by the time he's on trial, it's too late because George Floyd is already dead.
Teddy Graham, I hope that clears it up for you. Thank you for the call tonight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. 603-283-6160 is our number here. 603-283-6160. We got open phones. You can take control of the airwaves. We got 2 full hours to go here. Plenty of time for you to join us and bring up whatever's on your mind. Coming up, some amazing Bitcoin outreach is happening in Federal Reserve cities. We'll tell you about it. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The manhunt is on. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Federal authorities have released images of a person it says planted bombs as part of the attack on the Capitol earlier this month.
The FBI says someone placed 2 pipe bombs the night of January 5th. One outside the headquarters of the Republican National Committee and the other outside the main office of the Democratic National Committee. Both are located within a half mile of the Capitol. In pictures released by the FBI, an individual is seen dressed in a gray hooded sweatshirt, carrying a backpack. The agency is offering a $100,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Bail denied for the 60-year-old Arkansas man who posed for photos with his feet on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk during the Capitol riot. The judge saying Richard Barnett's behavior was brazen, entitled, and dangerous. Barnett's being charged with entering a restricted building while carrying a dangerous weapon and other offenses. If convicted on all counts, he could be sentenced to more than 11 years in prison. Johnson & Johnson says its one-dose COVID-19 vaccine has proven to be 66% effective in people with mild to moderate symptoms of the virus.
Although this is behind the effectiveness of Pfizer and Moderna's two-dose vaccines, Johnson & Johnson's experimental vaccine only requires one dose and could help increase the supply of desperately needed shots.
Fox's Jonathan Sari. Health experts also say the drug only needs a refrigerator as opposed to a special deep freezer for the Pfizer COVID vaccine. A coalition of groups representing the airline, travel, and aerospace industries are urging President Biden to not impose new COVID testing requirements for travelers on domestic U.S. flights. The group wrote a letter to the White House calling the tests unwarranted, and it says it will prevent rural Americans from traveling. America is listening to Fox News.
Good oral care habits keep you healthy. That means brushing your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day and replacing your bristles every 3 months. Quip, creators of the Quip electric toothbrush, makes it simple with a sleek design you'll want to use every day and timed sonic vibrations to guide your routine. Plus, Quip delivers a fresh brush head, floss refill, and toothpaste every 3 months when you need them. Set start at $25. Get your first refill free at getquip.com/newsbrief.
The governor of New York responds to a report that the state undercounted nursing home deaths.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo addressed the state attorney general's report that said the number of nursing home deaths could be off by as much as 50%, reiterating that he was following the guidance that had been given to the states from the federal government.
The State Department of Health followed federal guidance by CMS and CDC.
He says the state health commissioner says no not-for-profit nursing home was forced to take patients, which he says the report confirms. Yesterday, his administration confirmed that thousands more nursing home residents died of COVID than the state's official tallies had listed. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Another COVID-19 vaccine has been approved in Europe.
The European Union's Medicines Agency has authorized AstraZeneca's coronavirus vaccine. It's the third COVID-19 shot to receive EU approval. The agency's head, Emma Cook.
The safety and effectiveness of this vaccine will continue to be very closely monitored as it is rolled out across the member states.
US regulators are still assessing the AstraZeneca shot, and despite the European approval, Germany says it won't use the jab on anyone over 65, blaming insufficient trial data. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Michigan's environmental agency has approved construction of an underground tunnel that would house a replacement for a controversial oil pipeline in the Great Lakes. The pipeline, known as Line 5.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
This week, the Forest Service rolled out a brand new Smokey the Bear campaign in which the popular mascot burns to death. They say they hope the shocking turn will get people serious about preventing forest fires for once. The new campaign depicts Smokey the Bear noticing a family leave a flame unattended. Before he can put it out, the entire forest is consumed and Smokey dies in agony while trying to fight the blaze. Despite educating the public for over 70 years, the Forest Service says wildfires have only gotten worse and it was time to take their warnings to the next next level. The new ads aim to show that if Smokey the Bear can be killed by the very type of fire he works so tirelessly to prevent, it could happen to anyone at any time. So what's next for the long-running campaign? Well, now that their primary spokesperson is out of the picture, the Ad Council says the PSAs will shift focus to a new character named Little Brian. He's the boy whose family caused the fire in the first place, and he's grappling with crippling guilt over Smokey's death.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here as we kick off the second hour of the program. The number for you is 603-283-6160. Coming up, a major advertising outreach project for Bitcoin hitting Federal Reserve cities across the United States. We'll tell you about it. It's pretty interesting stuff. I came across this today. That's on the way here tonight. Of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome. Joining you in the studio, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
And of course, you can bring up whatever you want. We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. We do have a Matrix chat server that is available to you all the time, 24 hours a day. It's there. There are people talking on various different subjects. There's an on-air now room. There's a cryptocurrency room. There's a room for Freedom Decrypted, which is your show.
Absolutely.
Chris, anyone can create a room. So you made your own room on this server. It didn't pre-exist. You didn't have to come to me ask me to make it. You just created this room for your show, Freedom Decrypted, which you can go and listen to or watch over at freedomdecrypted.com. And if you create your own room on this Matrix server, you have administrative control over it. So if you want to make somebody a co-admin or a moderator or something like that of your own room, Chris, you get to decide who those people are and how all that works. You want to set up rules for your room, you can make those decisions for yourself. It's a pretty neat little system, and it's open source. It is polycentric, so it's not like controllable by some mega corporation, which is the best part about it.
It's federated.
It is federated, meaning the servers are connected together with one another, unless they choose not to be. So it's a pretty cool system, and you can go and check it out over at chat.freetalklive.com. That'll take you to a page of step-by-step instructions on how to join the server, and it's pretty simple, but you do want to make sure you follow the instructions precisely. Otherwise, you might join a different server that you didn't intend to join. We want you to join our server if
I think
you
the defaults are that other server.
That other server.
So you do have to go in there and change it.
Yeah, and we don't know who runs that other server. It's whoever it is that runs Matrix, and they may not be as freedom-friendly as we are.
Probably not.
So just keep that in mind. Chat.freetalklive.com. In fact, that's where we're going to go to the phones here. We actually have, if you are on our chat server, you can connect directly to the studio here and sound almost like you're sitting with us here in the studio, and that's where Matt is on the line, calling from California. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Ian. Thanks for having me.
Sure. What's on your mind tonight?
I wanted to talk about a different camera angle on Liberty Lovers and COVID. You all are always principled, and I'm grateful for your own personal choices around not wearing masks. But those of us that do want to get the vaccine, we aren't allowed by the state to go buy one anytime soon. And the state is a massive failure around the country, around the world in deploying these things. And we Liberty Lovers appreciate free markets. And I would hope you would support other voluntarists who want to make different choices than you peacefully against the state, as you usually advocate.
I certainly do. I don't speak for Ian or nobody here, but
yeah, it's your body. You can put whatever you want into it.
You can wear a hazmat suit if you want to.
If you want to,
I might laugh at you.
If you want to inject heroin or commit suicide or any of those, other things that I may not want to do myself, go for it.
Yeah. And in terms of the vaccine, my policy is I don't generally take drugs that were just invented this year. I like the old stuff. Give me some weed. They've been smoking that for like 3,000 years. But at the same time, certainly somebody has to be first in trying out every new drug, and you should be free to get it and
be an experiment.
Take it.
It's your body.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I haven't said that. I've never said that I won't get get one of these vaccines at some point. I'm not against getting the vaccine. So just I wasn't trying to suggest that the vaccine is heroin or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
I just realized that might be interpreted that way, and that's not what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
it probably was interpreted that way. That's why I just want to clarify.
When the government says you ought to get this thing, it makes me less interested in getting the thing, whatever the thing is.
Well, anytime somebody starts pointing guns at me, I question their concern about my health.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I definitely do not support forced vaccination. Period. Even if I think those vaccines are a good thing.
So what you're saying, Matt, is that you want to get this vaccine, but the government is making it near to impossible.
Yeah, it's basically illegal for me to go buy it. I want to be a peaceful person. I might want to make a different choice. And I'm one of those people trying to follow in your footsteps into the liberty migration so I can have more liberty in my lifetime. I'm in the People's Republic of California, and I'm classified as a senior citizen. I'm only 52, but I can't buy it. And so this is a classic example where, the state prevents free people from doing what they want.
Yeah.
It sure does. So you say you're planning on leaving California?
Absolutely. I've been a fond of this show since you were in Florida and Mark was Manwich.
Oh wow!
And but I failed to migrate. In 3 years, I'm definitely moving somewhere near you, and not sure if it's Keene, but I'm absolutely following.
Now you don't have to get a vaccine to leave California yet, do you?
No.
Oh my God!
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people, they've waited and waited and waited on making the move up here, and now all of a sudden they've taken a new interest in getting here, and it's like, well, you might want to get here sooner rather than later, because before you know it, I mean, they may try closing down state borders. I mean, that sounds crazy, but remember, they actually did try this. Early on.
They've done a lot of things that I would have said can't be done in the United States.
What's interesting is they have done some pretty crazy things to make it more difficult to travel. I don't know if they've ever fully closed the border, but certainly when you make the traffic go so slow that you're driving, you're basically not getting anywhere. It certainly, I think Florida was actually one of those places, if I'm not mistaken, when they almost closed the border.
Huh.
Matt, good luck out there. Thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate hearing from you. Sounded great, by the way, on the Jitsi connection, which is how you get on with us.
That was
through
amazing.
Matrix.
The quality of that. I didn't realize that.
I mean, Jitsi's a great product. It's an open source video and audio conferencing tool that anybody can use. A lot of people talk about Zoom this and Zoom that, Zoom meetings. Well, Zoom's a central controlled company. It's closed source.
And it's centrally controlled by the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah,
so
all groups, right?
Yeah, so I mean, if you are doing online discussions with people or having online meetings, you ought to ask the people who are, or if you're in charge of how these meetings are conducted, bring up Jitsi.
Oh yeah,
as an alternative to give you a free software solution to this, because it works great.
I don't think I've ever even used Zoom. I've used Jitsi on multiple occasions with multiple different groups, but never.
Yeah, some
Zoom.
people, they just got themselves, they're into Zoom and they don't want to do anything else but Zoom, but Jitsi works great, so give it a shot. And you can try it out on our chat server over at chat.freetalklive.com. So in the news today, there was something that I thought, well, I don't know if it was in the news. It's actually been posted about on some Bitcoin forums over the last couple of weeks. In fact, I didn't even find any news. I should clarify. This hasn't been in the news at all, because I looked, and the only thing I found about this was from BitcoinMagazine.com. It was published about a week and a half ago by Joe Rogers. They interviewed an artist who calls himself or herself, I haven't actually listened to the interview, but Crypto Graffiti, I believe is a guy. And Crypto Graffiti raised some money by selling artwork. So he makes crypto-related artwork. And there's some pretty cool stuff. Like he's taken clippings of credit cards and made art from them, basically. And he's taken pieces of dollar bills and sort of added them together and created art from it. He took
he can take garbage and turn it into a piece of
beauty.
Art. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. He took the Satoshi white paper for Bitcoin and he did it in sort of a he used dollar bills somehow, and I don't know if I suspect all the letters in the alphabet aren't on the dollars, but maybe they are. But he
I'm pretty sure there's no Z.
Yeah, he managed to figure out a way to do this. I didn't look closely at the piece, but he took the Bitcoin white paper like cover sheet or something like that, and he recreated it with letters from dollar bills on it. So it looks almost like a ransom note as you're reading it, made up out of dollar bills. Anyway, he's purchasing billboards throughout 12 different cities in the United States that are all Federal Reserve cities. So cities like Boston or Atlanta, places where they have Federal Reserve banks. He's buying billboards in poor neighborhoods, working class neighborhoods, and he's promoting Bitcoin. And it's a really interesting outreach project. You're welcome to join us here, 603-283-6160, and this is Free Talk Live.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Overburdened with material comforts, America's wealthy can expect another disappointing holiday this year. As Brian Scott tells us, the rich will simply be buying too many things to experience the true meaning of Christmas.
All across the country, those at the top of the economic ladder are denied a privilege that the poorest of the poor take for granted. Rather than fall victim to the rampant consumerism that seems to increase each year, the poor find meaningful joy in simple Christmas traditions, like singing carols to keep warm and hugging relatives who have not yet died. At stores like these, the spiritually bereft must scramble for popular holiday toys in a vain attempt to duplicate the Christmas-time happiness that the impoverished enjoy.
Poor people are grateful for just a roof over their heads or something to eat. My wife and I are both lawyers, so that's not enough for us. Certainly hope poor people don't take what they don't have for granted.
This is the Onion News Network.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. You're invited here if you want to join us. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio with you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
And we're talking about some interesting Bitcoin-related news. I came across this. I'm not even sure where. I know where I saw it. It was on the. There's a Tales of the Libertarian or Tales of a Libertarian Telegram room where they put in, memes usually, just single frame memes. But yesterday they put in a video of a guy walking up towards a Bitcoin billboard, and I thought, wow, that Bitcoin billboard is really cool. It had an image on it. And there are several varieties, there are multiple variants. I think he made like 9 or 8 or 9 different variants of the general theme of just promoting cryptocurrency on these billboards. And they're going up in cities across the United States, specifically the cities in which there are Federal Reserve banks. And so Boston, of course, is one example of that. But I'll give you an example of what some of these billboards say. One of them has got an image of what appears at first glance to be the U.S. dollar, but when you actually look closely, it says the United Nodes of Bitcoin at the top. And on the bottom, it says no leader. So, like normally it would be the face of a president. Except in this case, it's actually got what appears to be George Washington, maybe, I think that's his face, hidden by a cloak. On the actual bill, on the front of the bill. And the version I have here is fairly low resolution, so I can't really read to you the rest of what it might say on there, but it does say no Federal Reserve at the top. So it's very clearly like an anti-dollar that you're looking at here once you actually take a look at it. Yeah, and the wording to the left, so the whole billboard, it's a wide format billboard. So on one side you've got this image of the sort of anti-dollar, and then on the left side it says take the power back, and then underneath that it says Bitcoin, and then at BTC vs Fed. So BTC versus Fed. And so that's the at sort of symbol. That's the username that you can look up online to find out more about this. Other variants include the back side of the bill. So the bill was designed 2 different sides. So the front side with George Washington and a cloak, as I described to you, and then on the back side it says at the top, so it looks, again, at first glance, it looks like a dollar. It's got all the, it's got like the pyramid on the left. It's got the eagle and, on the right and everything. But at the top, it says a decentralized network. In the middle of the backside of the dollar, it says BTC, which is, of course, the sort of the short code for Bitcoin. Above the BTC, it says in code we trust.
Nice.
Instead of in God we trust. And then at the very bottom, it says open and free. So it's very different, right? Like once you start looking at this thing, you're like, what is this? And then underneath that, it says the people's money, Bitcoin, BTC versus Fed. And so a couple of other the variants of this.
My only quibble is that the people's money would actually be more like BCH than Bitcoin Legacy.
The guy behind this appears to be a Bitcoin maximalist, from what I can tell, but I could be wrong about that.
Or maybe he just used that because it's the best known.
I suspect that's a major factor. But the other things that it says sort of next to these images, you get 600, their friends, billions.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Talking about the pandemic payout.
Right. And then another one says $1 from 2010 buys 40 cents worth of goods today. Know why? And again, suggesting to the viewer that they should look into inflation. And then,
yes.
And then when you go to at BTC versus Fed, it explains some of these concepts to people. It says a peaceful revolution next to another one of these billboards. Another one says the people's money. Another says they're printing your savings into thin air.
Nice.
Yeah.
What would be funny is if the bill at the end went up in flames.
Yeah.
The dollar.
Well, yeah, and that's the other aspect of this that I wanted to bring up is this is more than just a billboard, this artwork. So there's no instruction whatsoever on these billboards about this. But there is essentially a secret function to them. There's an app online, and I cannot, say this is the greatest app in the world, but I did test it out, and I did test it successfully. The video that I saw that brought this to my attention in the first place was actually showing off the secret feature of this artwork. So what I saw was a guy walks up to this billboard in like Philadelphia or wherever it is, and because again these are in 12 different cities. He walks up with a tablet in his hands, and the tablet's got its camera running on it. So you can you see the billboard in reality, and then you can sort of see the billboard on the camera view on the tablet. And so he's holding this tablet up at the billboard, and within seconds, the artwork on the billboard on the tablet starts to animate. And the artwork changes in an animated fashion, and then a message comes up about Bitcoin, and then it fades away, and then another message comes up. So there's like 4 or 5 different frames that sort of animate up to tell you more about Bitcoin. So obviously, if you're driving by the billboard, this is impossible. You can't use this.
What exactly do you see if you're just driving by and you're not looking
just the
at
billboard.
It through? What's the billboard say? Does it have
I just
any...
read them to you. Do you want me to share them again?
But does it? Okay. So were you reading the animated part? I thought you were reading the animated part.
No, I was giving you. No, there are different variants of the billboard.
Right.
And the billboard has the one thing in common that the billboards have is the images of the dollar. These modified dollar images.
So it's still clear that it's anti-Federal Reserve.
Oh, it's quite
anti-dollar. Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very clear.
Even without this app on your phone.
Correct. Yeah, you don't have to have the app to get the message from this billboard, which is that Bitcoin is going up against the Federal Reserve.
Right.
And the Federal Reserve is doing bad things to your money. That's what the messages of the still frame billboards are. And then if you hold up this app, which is called the Artivive, Artivive, as in like art alive, basically. If you hold this app up, it's just a camera app that essentially detects the artwork that you're looking at and loads a video up, and then uses what they call augmented reality to sort of just portray this video over top of the actual artwork that you're looking at. So it allows the artwork to become an animation on your phone, and it's just one of the coolest methods of showing digital art that I've sort of seen yet. I mean, because digital art you can't do much with like in the real world, but this kind of allows you to sort of superimpose the digital art onto the real world. I can't tell you more about this because we're on a radio show. I can't demonstrate it for you. And demonstrating it's a little janky. Like, it's not the best technology in the world. If you don't have a good internet connection on your phone, it's probably not going to work at all.
I will say I've seen a video of this, so I have an idea, and it is really, it does look pretty cool. Yeah.
When it's working, it looks amazing. So kudos to this guy. I got to give him credit for this artist. His name is Crypto Graffiti, and he's got a Twitter account at Crypto Graffiti. His website, cryptograffiti.com. He's got a bunch of really cool artwork that is Bitcoin-oriented, cryptocurrency related, and a lot of it's like made out of old banker stuff, so like cut up credit cards. He took old credit cards and somehow made a picture of that guy that was actually not Satoshi Nakamoto, but years ago everybody thought he was Satoshi Nakamoto, and so he did an image of his face made out of old credit cards. No, not Craig Wright. It's an Asian guy.
Okay.
And so he's got like he's got a HODL image, which is made out of repurposed bank deposit bags that he cut up and like made into. It's really interesting stuff. So kudos to him for doing this outreach project, because I don't know what it costs to buy 12 billboards in some of the larger cities.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money. More coming up.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, you may join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, you've got Ian
and Chris
and nobody.
And, of course, you're invited to take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live. There's, as always, a lot in the news to talk about. There was something actually not too long ago, few weeks back, that caught my eye. And that was about Massachusetts. Now, they're just always full of terrible pro-government, shove the state down your throat ideas there in Massachusetts. And, of course, they're one of the worst mask restriction states where they mandate masks outdoors at all times, even if you're alone, even if you're away from other people. So from the very same state that brings you a tremendous amount of restrictions like that comes a new one. According to caranddriver.com, Massachusetts will be banning the sale of new gas-powered cars by the year 2035.
Wow.
Yep, the measure follows California's plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in an effort to combat climate change. While electric vehicles are still in the single-digit area of overall vehicle sales, they continue to climb and have already surpassed the sales of vehicles with manual transmissions. Now it seems that the electrification investments made by automakers are getting a boost from another part of the country. Massachusetts is joining California with a plan to ban the sale of new gasoline-powered cars by 2035. And, that sounds far away, but it's less than 15 years. It's not going to be that long before.
Yeah, this is... the thing with these sorts of regulations is there's probably somebody profiting from it. And it sounds like, the environment, but usually behind the scenes, if you keep looking, there's somebody who is invested in, some sort of, electric vehicles, and they're paying off somebody else.
They're the people who own the strip mines for lithium in the third world.
Yeah,
it's probably the politicians who passed the bill as well. I guarantee you. Charlie Baker, who is the governor of Massachusetts, he'd be a fool if he didn't have stocks in these electric vehicles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like,
although I don't put it past him to be a fool.
Rather than letting the free market decide, they're dictating it. So it's a bad idea.
No.
The governor there released a 2050 decarbonization roadmap that includes a reduction of emissions from passenger cars. Massachusetts says 27% of statewide emissions come from light-duty vehicles. Their goal is for the state to reach net zero fossil fuel emissions by the year 2050. In order to make sure those EVs are actually usable, the state plans, EV is electric vehicle, the state plans to expand the public charging infrastructure to take into account that many people don't have a garage in which to charge an electric vehicle.
Wow, so that's a lot of room for cronies there. You'll be able to pay off your friends with a free charging station that he can then go out and make a bunch of money off.
So, and they're saying here they're intending on everyone to be driving these electric vehicles. Their plan is, of course, take them out of, from being sold brand new. Now, they're not banning the sale of gasoline vehicles on the used market yet. So, in theory, you could still continue to drive a gasoline vehicle. But if you pick up an electric vehicle and you don't have a garage in which to park it and charge it, that's what they're saying, that these public charging stations would come into play. So now we're talking about the government centrally managing charging stations and demanding that all these people who don't have a garage, which is a fair amount of them in New England, think about everybody that's got an apartment. Or everybody that's just in an old house that never had a garage at all. Like this property has one, and it's unusual in this neighborhood because it's got a garage. And now all these people with these electric vehicles are now going to be trying to chase around the however many charging stations they have. This is a central controlled nightmare waiting to happen.
I don't even think that this is going to work like in any kind of city, because if you look at the amount of land that's available and how long you have to
charge the car.
Let the car charge. Like how long? I mean, think about how long it takes to pump gas. It doesn't take that long, right?
Right.
Now try and charge it. If you have to wait a half an hour even or an hour versus the 5 minutes it takes to pump your gas, there ain't enough room. You can't just replace the gas stations with electric charging stations.
Right. And is that even profitable?
And where are you going to be when that's going on?
What do you mean, who's you?
Well, the driver is going to have to be somewhere while his car is charging.
Right. You're gonna have to wait because
in a lounge,
you're gonna have to be waiting for
well, you can't go in a restaurant. That would be COVID.
Well, you're gonna have to. I mean, I'm presuming that this will be over by the time they roll us out. But
I don't know if it's still profitable. They might keep it going. It's hard to say.
Well, how can it be profitable? I mean, to have so many of these spaces where people are charging their cars, but they're taking an hour at a time. I mean, you can't. Like you said, the amount of space is limited in a city. So how are you going to do that?
It's not going to work. They're going to probably. I don't even know what they're going to do. But
I suspect they don't even know it either.
Here's what's going to happen. I can tell you what's going to happen. They're just going to keep rolling back the date because it doesn't work. It'll keep being pushed back until there's like somehow we have instant charging or batteries are like it's you replace the whole battery in the vehicle as opposed to charging up the battery and having to wait for it. So maybe it gets charged, but it gets charged upstairs somehow or in a big skyscraper type building where the battery just gets pulled from the vehicle and sent up and then charged, but then you get some other battery in your car instead that's charged.
Yeah, the hydrogen fuel cells were supposed to be changeable, and that would, or at least in some cases, I saw.
I mean, you need
change one out with a fresh one, basically. And charge the other one.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
If you're going to do some sort of replacement system, it just has to have a standard to it. I would think mostly.
Well, the other danger there is. If somebody's trading in an old container for a new container, then how do you know that old container is in good condition?
Well, presumably you're leasing, and then they're going to be some sort of like marking on it as far as the date is concerned, and or they're going to be testing them so they don't hopefully give out batteries that are beyond their expiration.
Singularity in our chat room over at chat.freetalklive.com, he's got an interesting point. He says they will have to upgrade the electric transmission infrastructure to supply enough power to charge cars. Every home pulling 50-plus amps of 240 volts is a hell of a lot of extra demand. So that's another interesting aspect of this.
What about slower charging? I mean, does it have
who has
to be,
time for that?
Well, if you leave your car in overnight, it doesn't necessarily have to charge at that rate or whatever.
Yeah, but and maybe they're expecting that the charging technology is going to get better in the next 15 years, and surely it will.
Right.
So they may be banking on the advance of technology, and this may be one of those things where the government sort of acts like it's getting out in front of a trend that ultimately the market would have gone towards anyway, and that way they can pat themselves on the back for doing something like this. Maybe this is what would have happened anyway. Maybe people would have naturally gravitated towards electric vehicles.
It wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. However, the way they're going about it is going to end up increasing the costs. It's going to be a mess, a nightmare, because the government is getting involved.
Yeah, and
as
now
opposed to letting the free market deal with it.
Right, and now they're just getting the camel's nose under the tent, so to speak. They're just banning the sale of brand new cars starting in 2035. Well, what if they get a little more brazen? What if the next step is to ban the importation of any other gas? Because, if you're in Massachusetts, you just skip up to New Hampshire and you've got gasoline cars you can buy, right? Just like they go up to New Hampshire to buy their vape cartridges now and things like that. So, they come up here to buy a gas car and they bring it back down to Massachusetts. Massachusetts may say, well, we're not going to register that car.
That's what I'm thinking. But then again, what about when, people register, in other states, right?
Right.
If you do it right, it's technically legal and they can't stop it.
Maybe they will ban all gas cars from their roads at some point. Who knows how insane they'll get with this? But right now, it's
But you're stealing Greta's childhood.
Yeah. Initiatives by California and Massachusetts could be the beginning of a trend by states to slowly ban the sale of new gas-powered vehicles. Several European countries have similar measures in order to quote-unquote battle climate change. Meanwhile, President-elect Joe Biden, this was written a few weeks ago, Biden has a plan to speed up the electrification of vehicles in the United States. That includes replacing the country's fleets with EVs, meaning taking all government cars and converting them into electric only. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, while stopping short of a mandate in October, also set 2035 as its goal for eliminating internal combustion vehicles as well. Our number here is 603-283-6160. You can join us here. Maybe they'll ban the sale of used gas cars next. Who knows what they're going to come up with? Your thoughts welcome.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Do you ever say, I could care less
when you really mean the opposite. You mean to say, I couldn't care less. It's a common mistake. You are judged by how you speak, especially if you're looking for work, with so many more applicants than openings now. But even if you're not, avoiding common misstatements will help you make the most of the dozens of conversations and transactions that crowd your daily routine. So whatever you say, don't say whatever as a single word sentence. It's the most annoying expression in the American English language, according to a recent poll. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. But seriously, at the end of the day, you'll want to avoid this scenario, sounding like everyone else. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, and you're invited if you want to join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian
and Chris
and nobody.
And don't forget, you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. We do have a Telegram channel, by the way, so if you would like to follow us there, you can go to telegram.freetalklive.com. And now, nobody actually requested this. We have a Telegram discussion channel, or a discussion room. So the channel is a one-way thing where we post like our show prep and things that we think you might find interesting. And then you can hit discuss on that, and then it takes you into the chat room that's associated with the room where you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners there.
Groovy.
Yeah, well, I would hope that you know already because you're the admin.
Over
there. So yeah.
Oh, are they doing that?
Check out nobody. You're doing that.
Oh, good for me.
Yeah.
Good for me. I rock.
So check that out at telegram.freetalklive.com. It was your request. Nobody.
It's true.
We created that
true.
for. So
I was high.
Yeah, do that and enjoy it. It is yet another free feature in crazy COVID news. There's actually a little bit of good news here, and it's not because the airlines actually care about freedom, but there is a little bit of good news from the airline industry, where according to CNBC, the CDC is now talking about mandating COVID tests for domestic air travel. And the airlines are actually pushing back against this, surprisingly. Now, the airlines so far have been pretty obedient. They've been doing what they've been told to do, which is to require masks of the people who are flying on them. And this week, according to CNBC, the U.S. started requiring travelers to show negative COVID-19 tests before flying to the United States from abroad.
Wow.
Really?
And this is kind of amazing because those tests don't work. They're designed so that, you know, if you repeat the test enough times, you'll get a positive. Or if you concentrate the stuff enough times, you'll get a positive. So.
I mean, that depends on the sensitivity of the test, presumably.
Well, each time that you it's like distillation. Each time you distill the stuff, it gets a little bit thicker.
Right,
and if it gets thick enough, you get a positive. So basically, whether or not you get a positive depends on whether or not the lab running your tests has decided they want to do enough cycles that everybody will be positive, or that 90% will be positive, or that 50% will be positive. It all depends on how you structure the test.
Right. So if you're creating a test that's overly sensitive, then you're going to get more false positives, and if you obviously don't do it enough, then you're going to get false negatives.
The U.S., again, requiring travelers to show negative COVID tests before flying to the United States from abroad. Now, the Biden administration is, quote, actively looking, unquote, at whether to mandate COVID-19 tests before any domestic flights, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Airlines, thankfully, are actually pushing back against this. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly asked on a quarterly call Thursday, quote, why pick on air travel? He said, if you want to test people, test them. But test them before they go to the grocery store. Test them before they go to a restaurant. Test them before they go to a sporting event.
How about not?
Yeah. So this guy doesn't care about your freedom. He's not pushing back out of any principle. He just doesn't want his business infringed upon. He'd rather have, everyone's rights be infringed upon.
He cares about his freedom. He doesn't care about ours.
The time to try and create borders and segmentation to control the virus was a long, long time ago.
You're saying it's too late?
You mean during the 2 weeks to slow the spread or flatten the curve or whatever it is they said they were going to do?
Long before that. Long before that. And the United States and most countries were really slow to react. And the only way that we would have had any chance at containing it, that which is what they're trying to do basically, which at this point doesn't make any sense because you've already got people everywhere that are infected. So it's not going to contain anything.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. And, it's not, there's no reason to believe that slowing an epidemic is going to reduce the number of deaths overall. As a matter of fact, in some cases, they seem to believe that it's done the opposite because the thing goes on longer if you slow the spread.
According to the story here on Wednesday, U.S. Travel Association, an industry group that represents large hotel chains, Airbnb, and several airports, said the plan would be unworkable because COVID testing availability varies so much across the country. The CDC didn't respond to the request for comment.
Interesting, it would vary across the country, but when people are flying in from other countries, it doesn't vary. Well, I mean, it seems like it would vary across the world if it varied across the country.
No doubt, but the U.S. government doesn't have to care, I guess, about what happens outside of its jurisdiction, so they can just set whatever arbitrary rules they want to, because then it's just the customs that has to intercept people coming in, and they can stop everybody if they want to stop everybody from coming in. The airlines aren't really as much of a factor there. They don't have to worry as much about pleasing Egypt Air or whatever other international airlines as far as the rules are concerned.
True.
The CDC's Dr. Marty Cetron, director of the Division for Global Migration and Quarantine, told reporters that it's considering further travel rules, but didn't say it will definitely require domestic tests. The travel and airlines industry in general have been among the hardest hit businesses in the coronavirus pandemic. Travel restrictions aimed at stopping the disease from spreading around the world and concerns over catching the virus has devastated demand. U.S. carriers this week said they lost $34 billion last year. And, of course, we saw a ton of jobs get cut toward the end of the year after they ran out of their bailout money, which was, I think, like $25 billion. And I think they did get more bailout money later, but I'm not sure about that.
See, if their services are no longer needed, then they shouldn't get a dime in bailouts.
Nope.
That's what happens.
Well, I mean, their services were restricted artificially through the government telling people to stay home. I mean, the government basically killed this business in relatively short order. So I can understand why a business would say, hey, you murdered us. Maybe you could give us a few bucks. I mean, I can't blame somebody for saying that.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're murdering humans all across the country. And I would say if there are going to be any bucks for handouts, those should go to the humans, not companies.
Sure, but they don't care about that.
True.
Yeah, they're going to give it to their buddies first and foremost.
Yeah, the corporation's got more money than any of the masses individually.
Testing requirements for domestic flights seem, quote, like something that would be both difficult and would have us testing Americans on airplanes that we all know are safe to be on, said American Airlines CEO Doug Parker. We'll obviously work with the administration on whatever they think makes sense, but also let them know what kind of impact that would have on travel. So, they're very obedient people, these airline folks. There's almost no
if they
airlines.
weren't, they were forced out of the industry decades ago.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. There are very few airlines that will even allow people with a medical exemption to fly. I was surprised to learn that Delta actually has a process for medical exemption, but it is as invasive of a procedure as you can imagine. You actually have to meet with their doctor.
So you have to meet with their doctor.
That's right. If you want a medical exemption.
I want to get quack doctored by an airline.
Yeah. If you want the medical exemption from Delta, you have to have a telemeeting, right? Like you don't have to physically go, but you have to be on the phone or on a video call or something with their doctor in their office or whatever at the airport, and then it's apparently at least an hour that this particular doctor's visit will take.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you've ever been to a doctor in recent decades, you know that doctor's like in and out, right? Like they get him in, he sees you for 5 minutes, he writes down the prescription, and he's out the door.
Is there like a line you're talking about where you're waiting for an hour to see the doctor?
Oh God, no! I suspect almost no one has ever even tried this. In fact, I looked it up. I had to travel recently down to Texas to bring Bonnie up here.
Yep.
And so it was the only reason I was ever going to get on an airplane was for that reason. And so, of course, I'm looking around like, well, what are are there any options? Okay, Delta's got a procedure. So I'm looking, I'm searching. It's been since June or so since they put this procedure in place. And I couldn't find anything on the internet at all of anyone saying, hey, I've been through this, check procedure or whatever. There's a certain name for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not find any reference whatsoever to anyone saying that they know what the process is like because they've been through it. I suspect almost no one has done this.
So did you try?
No, God, no.
Okay.
Because if you go through first of all, it's time consuming. Secondly, if you go through the process and the doctor doesn't clear you through, you'll be banned from flying.
Aren't you banned from flying anyway?
Nope. 603-283-6160 is the number here. So it's not like you could just walk in and show your doctor's note.
Right.
You have to get their doctor's permission.
Yeah, screw their doctor.
Yeah. 603-283-6160. So instead I just flew with my nose out, hanging out from my mask the entire time, which you're not supposed to do, but no one said anything to me. So it worked. I could breathe the entire time, so it wasn't so bad. 603-283-6160. You can join us here. Hour number 3 is on the way. Let's talk Bitcoin Cash coming up. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon. the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Keeping up with the changes in COVID-19. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The White House chief medical advisor says scientists need to stay on top of the virus as it continues to spread and develop variants.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says mutations of COVID-19 spreading across the world are a wake-up call and a clear sign of how vaccines must evolve along with the virus.
We'll have to be nimble to be able to just adjust readily.
Fauci says that means making fast tweaks to vaccines
that actually are specifically directed towards whatever mutation is actually prevalent at any given time.
Fauci at a White House coronavirus briefing says those mutations are also incentive to vaccinate as many people as possible to prevent further spread and development of the virus. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Biden is urging quick action on his nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package. He says he is hoping for bipartisan support, but said it has to pass. As he put it, no ifs, ands, or buts. Republicans have expressed concerns about the price tag. FEMA has sent a request to the Pentagon for assistance with getting the COVID-19 vaccine to Americans. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby says the request is being reviewed.
Not to distribute the vaccines, but to help administer the vaccines for the American people.
He said a mix of National Guard, active duty, and reserve forces would be used. As parents continue to express concerns about kids returning to in-person schools safely, White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says vaccine distribution for children is likely to begin soon.
Hopefully, by the time we get to the late spring and early summer, we will have children being able to be vaccinated according to the FDA's guidance.
COVID vaccines are not yet approved for children, but testing's underway. America is listening to Fox News.
Good oral care habits keep you healthy. That means brushing your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day and replacing your bristles every 3 months. Quip, creators of the Quip electric toothbrush, makes it simple with a sleek design you'll want to use every day and timed sonic vibrations to guide your routine. Plus, Quip delivers a fresh brush head, floss refill, and toothpaste every 3 months when you need them. Set start at $25. Get your first refill free at getquip.com/newsbrief.
A New York City man who supports a far-right extremist group and posted online threats to lawmakers has made an appearance in federal court.
Edward Florea has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts. He is a Proud Boys supporter, but was not at the Capitol during the riot on January 6th. Florea was arrested by the FBI on January 12th at his home in Queens after agents found online postings that threatened to send an armed caravan to the Capitol as well as ammunition. Some of the threats were aimed at U.S. senators. Prosecutors say he has traveled with the Proud Boys and was with them when they vandalized a Washington, D.C. church in December. Florea is still in custody after being denied bail at his first court appearance and is due back before a judge on March 1st. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A proposed constitutional amendment in Idaho that would prevent the legalization of marijuana in the state has moved forward. A state Senate panel has voted to send the resolution that bans all psychoactive drugs not already legal in Idaho to the full Senate. CBD products can be purchased in Idaho, but they must contain no THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. Samsung has a new smartphone out today.
Most models of the S21 have 4 cameras, one facing you, the other 3 facing the rear, but the Ultra model has an additional one on back, making the total 5, vastly increasing the power of the lens zoom, but also allowing multiple angles of a single recording for later video editing. It's also a 5G device, and yes, as a phone, you can make a
Free Talk Live.
This is the first time I've heard your program. I'm hearing this person talk about what a wonderful thing it would be if we had legal drugs.
Yes,
I don't know
Sandy.
where you're getting your information from. I think you've lost your mind. I'm telling you. Oh, you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear reality.
I want to hear everything
you
have to say.
You don't want to hear reality? Okay,
Please,
well then
knock me over with
stop
reality,
acting
Sandy.
like a 12-year-old, you know? I'm telling you what about the war on drugs. If you see people on drugs, you might change your mind.
Man, look, my wife works at a drug treatment center, lady.
Oh, good for her.
There you go.
Good for her.
Sandy, I've smoked copious amounts of marijuana.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that a bit. That's probably what's wrong with your brain.
I've been around plenty of people that have taken drugs,
You got a fact
Sandy.
for
me, Sandy? One of them? Fact?
I don't have statistics.
Sandy, we're not asking people to smoke marijuana. We're just saying, let's not make it illegal.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The entire nation has been transfixed by the emotional saga of missing toddler Aaron Crawford. Police remain baffled by 4-year-old Aaron's mysterious disappearance. The Crawford family is finally speaking out, but it isn't easy.
We're taking it day by day, you know? We just miss our baby so much.
This must be so hard on everyone.
All he does is cry. I hate him.
Little Aaron was last seen in the bedroom he shares with his older brother, Denny. Authorities say he was abducted by an intruder in the middle of the night.
Denny was in the room when Aaron was taken.
Yeah, right here. Now it's just my room.
Denny, can you tell us what happened?
I was in my room. A man lifted up the window and came in.
Were you scared?
Yes, because I thought he's going to take my Xbox.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here in this third hour. We've got open phones, as always, at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio, you've got Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
You can bring up anything you want. We're going to go to your calls and thoughts. Another central banker on the attack against Bitcoin. This one is from the European Central Bank. Governing Council member Gabriel Makhlouf said Bitcoin investors need to be prepared to, quote, lose all their money, unquote. We'll tell you about that here in just a moment. Of course, you can bring up anything that you want. And don't forget, you can join us online over at freetalklive.com, where you can get involved in our new social media site that we launched just a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago at this point. And it is at social.freetalklive.com. It's using the open source Mastodon platform, which has been working great. A lot of people have had very complimentary things to say about this platform. It works just like Twitter, except without any of the central control, without any of the Twitter bureaucrats or whatever telling you what you can and can't say. Yeah, it's something
There are no fact checkers.
Correct. It's something you got to decide for yourself.
Well, I mean, there are people who can respond to you as well.
That's true. They can write responses.
Yeah, but there are no privileged fact checkers
This is true.
who get to, post this, who get to mark your items as being this is not what political science says today.
The best way to deal with people who write lies is to respond with your own.
With the truth, hopefully. 603-283-6160 if you want to join us
your
here.
own lies, you say?
Well, you know what I meant.
Hopefully the truth, like I said. Social.freetalklive.com is where you can go. You can get signed up there. I think we're over 180 users in basically the first 2.5 weeks. And so thank you to everybody who's been participating. There have been people who've come back, right? Like, it's one thing to get somebody to sign up. It's another thing to get them to actually come back and use the site again. We've had multiple users use the site and post multiple times. Some saying that they really appreciate the opportunity to express themselves without having to worry about some, person with a different political viewpoint coming in and telling them that they can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't gotten on over there, you're welcome to go and check it out. It is free. And one of the coolest aspects about Mastodon, I think, is the reason why there are a bunch of different ways to use the site. So there's different apps. Yeah, you can just go on your web browser to social.freetalklive.com and you can use it through your browser. You can also download something like 5 or 6 or maybe even more apps for almost every platform out there. So if you don't like app A, You could try app B, C, and D and see if one of them kind of feels better to you. You like the way it's laid out. You like the feel of it. Is it fast and snappy, or is it slow and buggy? There's different options out there, different looks, different sort of graphical presentations of basically the same data that's on the site. So I think that's one of the neatest parts about this is you don't have to just take the one app that the one corporation, Twitter says you must use. No, you can use a bunch of different ones, and some of them are even paid apps. Like you can even pay, like for whatever reason, if you wanted to, you could pay somebody for their app in this case. But most of them are free, which is pretty sweet. So check that out at social.freetalklive.com. Let's go to William. He's in California. William, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, yes. Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me,
Certainly.
Sir?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening to the radio here and the TV off and on, and I'm a scrutinizer. I try to sort the wheat from the chaff, and my hat goes off. I tip my hat to Representative Gates and Senator Ron Paul.
Oh, okay, I know that one.
For their efforts in rallying people and keeping these rallies alive. Hats off to them. Please let's support them.
Now, what rallies are you talking about?
Well, for example, the rally in Wyoming just recently to get rid of Cheney.
Dick Cheney?
It's about time they got rid of that guy.
Is he still around?
He's somewhere.
No, we're talking about Miss Cheney. I don't call her representative because she is nothing of the sort.
Is she related to Dick Cheney?
As far as I know, yes. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Okay.
So
what is she?
Anyway,
is she in Wyoming? Is she like a Wyoming rep?
Yeah, they need to recall her. They need to. Apparently, they're pushing for it. They need to keep doing it.
I feel like we're starting at the end of the story. Who is this woman, and what did she do that she needs to be stopped from doing?
I just looked her up. She apparently is the daughter of Dick Cheney.
Okay, and what does she do?
Probably bad things. I mean, she's a politician.
Well, yeah. They all do bad things.
Isn't
what
that
makes her
operating
special?
procedure?
Well, I think with everything that's going on, we have Chinese death camps coming. We don't have time to be playing around with silly ass people like her. I mean, it's
what did she do?
That we have to. Well, apparently she's a betrayer of the Republican Party. She did some things.
Well, they deserve betraying.
A bunch of these,
yeah, right.
I mean, they betrayed Ron Paul.
There's a whole herd of them.
But what did she do?
So.
What did she do that you object to? You're angry at her for a reason, and I'm trying to find out what that reason is.
Well, the real reason I called, your screener,
he doesn't have one. He just heard she's bad.
Yeah. Oh no, I have one, but
you do. Well, then what is it?
Share it. We might be equally irritated.
Well, she betrayed kind of like a bunch of them. They turned. Whatever happened to our election? Has anybody ever asked that question? I mean, we still.
But what did she do? You said she betrayed.
I think they got stolen. But did she vote to impeach Trump? Did she vote to certify the election? Did she vote to do something else that you disagree with? I'm guessing she voted to do something, and I want to know what.
Yeah, what was the betrayal?
Well, I mean, the rumor is, because I'm just a person out here listening to mainstream media, but apparently Gates was there to recall her to get her out of office because she voted against the Republican Party's wishes, and like a number of these other rhinos have betrayed the country, really. With their efforts against
Trump. Is it a betrayal of the country to advocate for secession?
Well, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole here with secession.
Why not?
My thought is that's ridiculous.
I mean, he's serious.
Why is it ridiculous?
That's a serious question.
It's a reasonable question.
We are a union. That's what this country
is.
Who's we? It's United
I'm not.
States.
Are you a union with Joe Biden? Are you content to be ruled by a Joe Biden half the time if it means you get a Trump the rest of the time?
Well, the reason I called was because
he doesn't want to talk about it.
The reason I called was because I don't know why we keep calling him President Biden. He is not a president. We got to remember there was fraud that was still.
So who is?
Am I your president?
I mean, there was a lot of fraud in 2008 when they cheated Ron Paul out of the nomination,
and then cheated him again in 2012.
They cheated him again in 2012. They cheated Bernie Sanders in this last election. I guess I don't understand why people are suddenly upset that they're cheating Trump when the whole system is a cheat. Why don't we just not have presidents, and then we don't have to worry about having one who didn't get the job properly?
Well, we could also become an island of the Lord of the Flies too.
I don't think we can become an island. We're too large for that. We'll remain a continent, but
or part thereof.
I mean, how is this different from Lord of the Flies when you just have one person who's able to take power and impose his will on everybody else?
Thank you, William, for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The number is 603-283-6160. To me, if you're saying that Biden is not the president, then that means there is no president, right? Which means that the federal government is dissolved.
So groovy. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Because Trump isn't doing the job, Biden isn't doing the job, and we're getting along fine.
Yeah, I don't want to have anyone as president. I don't need a president. Do you?
Nope. I don't give a damn about your president. I don't give a damn about your war.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the value soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone? You forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection. You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Oh, yeah, it's Free Talk Live, and the number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Mark your calendar for ForkFest 2021. It's going to be June 28th through July 4th. Now, that is the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is also a fine festival that you might want to consider attending. But ForkFest, the difference is, and somebody was actually asking about this in the ForkFest Telegram channel earlier today, like what is the difference between ForkFest and the Porcupine Freedom Festival?
I always tell people that ForkFest is to Porkfest as anarchy is to minarchy.
It's about food, right?
No.
It's not about food?
That's what he thought, but no.
So what's it about?
I mean, there's a lot of food there. I mean, at least I thought there was plenty of food
And you
last
can
year.
use a fork even at the Porcupine Freedom Fest.
Really?
That's true. Yeah.
Because you're free.
I mean, I think it'd be great if people came there thinking that it was like a food festival and like set up more food tents so we could have more food options. That would be fantastic. But ultimately, it is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and it is a decentralized fork, meaning that there are no board of directors, there's no organizers to the event. Each individual organizes their own attendance, meaning if you want to create a thing for other people to do, you can do that.
So what kind of things are there to do?
Well, it depends. I don't know what's coming up this year.
Well, what was up last year?
I know that we broadcast from the campground. I know that the guys from AnyPay set up an awesome dome, and they're planning on doing the dome for 2 weeks this year. So the dome is expanding its presence, and they're upgrading the quality of the dome. I don't know what else is going on. I haven't heard. Have you?
Kubla Khan at Xanadu had built a pleasure dome.
I don't know if it'll be a pleasure dome, but there may be a different dome. If you want to build a pleasure dome, you could do that.
I will say there's one thing
I had a good time at theirs last year,
it was
so it was I qualify as a pleasure dome.
It was pleasurable, yes.
It was.
Yeah.
It was pleasant.
Yes.
There's definitely one thing that I know will be there, and that's cryptocurrencies.
Crypto will be in full force in effect, I expect.
And people who care about freedom, which...
that's the reason to go.
Fine.
Yeah, that's the reason to go, is to be around the people who care about freedom for a week in the woods in beautiful New Hampshire in the White Mountains at Rogers Campground. They've got RV sites, rustic camping sites, not so rustic camping sites, and also motel rooms. So it's up to you what you want to stay or how you want to stay. But mark your calendar now, June 28th through July 4th. You can go to forkfest.party to learn a little bit more about the event and connect with the Forkfest Telegram chat room and other things.
And if your campsite is too rustic, just soak it in some Coca-Cola for a little while. That'll take the rustic right off it.
Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Joe is calling from Montana. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Joe.
Yeah, how you guys doing? Hey. You guys really don't know you didn't really know who Liz Cheney was?
No, why would I know who these politicians are? I pay no attention to these people.
I know the name Liz Cheney. I didn't know why this guy was upset at Liz Cheney.
Well, he's upset because she's one of the 10 that voted to impeach Trump in the House.
All right. Thank you for a straight answer, sir.
Yeah, you asked that question like 3 or 4 times.
If he just told me, I would have let him go on with the story.
I was amazed, but then I was thinking, you guys are really jerking this guy around.
No, honestly, we don't know.
Was she on The View? See, that's where I know her name from,
No, that's
I think.
McCain's daughter.
Okay. See, I don't keep track of these people.
Now let me give you a little more scoop here, fellas. The Republican Party is a dynastic oligarchy.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Okay, it's made up of the McCains, the Bushes, the Romneys. These people go back generations.
Right.
And what's going on is there's a civil war going on in the Republican Party between those oligarchs and the grassroots. And Cheney's one of those oligarchs. So that's what's going on.
See, I haven't heard about the Civil War. The reason I say
they call it a civil war. You know.
Okay, because the reason I say that is because I am actually involved at some level with the Republican Party here in Keene, New Hampshire. I'm currently the vice chairman of the Keene Republican Party, and I haven't heard anything about a civil war going on. I mean, there doesn't seem to be anything going on at all.
There's definitely been some fighting over Trump.
There's no civil war going on in Montana either, except that we can do the idea. Here's the basic idea. You know, there's a lot of Mormons in Utah, and there's a lot of Republicans in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Can't Utah do better than Mitt Romney?
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Well, I'm not a fan of Mitt Romney.
There's a lot of Republicans. There's a lot of Republicans in Wyoming, and I don't know. Wyoming doesn't really have that, but we can do better than Cheney too.
Isn't Mitt Romney?
That's the idea, but
I was surprised.
Didn't quite get it.
I was surprised when I heard that Mitt Romney was out in Wyoming. I mean, or Utah or whatever. Like he used to be a Massachusetts politician, and now all of a sudden he's in Utah.
Because he's a Mormon.
Uh-huh.
He's probably part of a secret. Well, they're not even know if they're secret. There's a group called the 70, which are high-ranking. Mormons is a real hierarchy kind of thing, and he's somewhere in that high hierarchy of the priesthood of the Mormon Church, and so. But he's not really a conservative Republican. He's a very liberal Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And he just changes he's always flipping. I mean, he's just,
he's slimy.
I'm so ashamed I voted for Mitt Romney. I got to tell you. That's my confession.
Well, I'm proud of voting for Ron Paul against Mitt Romney.
Oh, I voted for Ron Paul. Yeah,
I
voted for Ron Paul, but I did vote for Romney once. And I'm so ashamed.
I'm ashamed of voting, period.
I don't know. I voted
We're getting there.
I voted for Bill Clinton. After that, it's been straight libertarian.
I'm a huge nobody fan.
Thanks.
Are you familiar with anarchy comic books?
In the generic sense, I'm familiar with comic books about anarchy, but if that's the name of a particular...
This was a series that was done by Last Gasp Comics, the ones that did the underground comics in the 60s.
No, I'm not familiar with them at all.
Oh, you're not? Okay, well, there's a whole series... I was going to tell you, I have issue number 4. Number 4 is almost unknown. But yeah, they were done by the same people who did the sex comics, like Spain Rodriguez, and the Spain Rodriguez ones are awesome.
Oh, did he do the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers?
There's a lot of pardon me?
Did he do the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers also?
No, that was a different guy, but he does in the anarchy comics. They would give these guys commissions, so it's all different artists doing little stories and stuff.
Nice.
Some are historic stories. Some are just funny ones. Like the funny one is the anarchy story, where this punk rocker from my generation meets guys from your generation, and he thinks he's talking to androids. They don't understand.
Huh. Oh, wow.
They don't communicate.
Was he talking to their phones?
He wants to do all this socially. They take this punk rock dude from the 80s. They bring him into the future, and he's anarchy is who he is, and he wants to do all these very socially, I guess kind of antisocial behaviors. And the anarchists, because they've reached utopia. See. So why would you do that? You're destroying your own stuff. You're destroying your... It's hilarious. But
is this right? You're saying this comic series is actually from the 60s, or is it more recent?
Oh, it was made in the 80s.
In the 80s, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's made in the 80s. One of my favorite covers is they show... the back covers, they show 2 mosquitoes sucking the lifeblood out of the earth.
And are they Democrats and Republicans?
USSR and the others.
Oh, okay.
No, USSR in America.
Yeah. That also works.
Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, you got a great one. Have you ever seen the picture of the sea beast from the Book of Revelation? You know, the lion with the 7 heads coming out of the sea?
No.
You know that apocalyptic image? See, this is what it's like. I feel like anarchy in that story. I'm talking to you guys. Don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, thank goodness we've got you out there, Joe.
Send me a URL, bro, so I can find out about this.
What's
stuff.
your email, Nobody?
Nobody@electnobody.com.
Thank you, Joe. And yeah, it's we rely on a lot of our callers to call in and clue us in on stuff. We don't know what's going on. It's Free Talk Live.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin. And, all right, I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. You dial not toll free. Still trying to stop that habit. 603-283-6160 is the number.
Now you got to pay.
603-283-6160. I'd be surprised if anyone's paying for long distance these days. If you're still paying for long distance, you need to talk to your phone company and tell them that you want to cancel that old plan.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't be at this point. 603-283-6160 in the studio tonight. It's Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
So, yeah, we were just talking with a couple of callers who brought us, one of these politicians up to our attention. Apparently some Republicans are mad about Liz Cheney, who is, I'm sure, a scumbag politician like the rest of them. But I just don't, they seem to think that they can toss out some of these scumbags from their party and then not have scumbags replace them. And that's where they're going wrong. Is like the whole thing is politicians are attracted to power, and as long as there's power, you're going to attract the worst of the politicians. So even if you were to be successful at getting rid of Liz Cheney, she would just be replaced by somebody who's just as bad.
You mean they're not doing what's in my best interest?
No, and they never will, because they're only in it for their own interests. And anything they say besides that is just to
but Ian, they gave me $600, here with the whole COVID thing.
Did you get that? You actually got $600?
I don't.
I got it.
I think so. Anybody who paid filed his taxes, I think, got it.
Yeah, I got it just because I happened to work for Keith for a couple of months. Keith 6
Murphy,
months maybe as a dishwasher in Manchester.
Yeah, he's a free stater that owns a pub out in Manchester.
And so anyway, I filed taxes to get that back, and lo and behold, somebody sends me $600 the next year. So I immediately put it in crypto because, you eat those dollars.
It's always entertaining to me how many people will call this show and are bewildered that we aren't like in the midst of whatever political drama is going on out there. And while we certainly paid attention to some extent with, Trump because he was entertaining, most politicians are not entertaining. They're not interesting. They're not fun to watch. They're not attractive in any means, shape, or form. They're awful human beings.
Okay, Tulsi Gabbard was attractive.
We got enough drama in our own little community, in our own little New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I don't need to follow what's going on nationally.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Or in other states.
And none of it matters anyway nationally because, they're just going to ruin your life. It doesn't matter who is in there. They're going to destroy your freedoms. They're going to take away more liberties. They're going to increase the size and the scope of the federal and state governments. They're going to continue spending money as though, it doesn't matter because they just print out as much as they want. And they went on a crazy printing frenzy last year, and they're going to print even more up this year. It's going to likely be a record year for Bitcoin again.
And I'm down with that. Yeah. Print.
In fact, Bitcoin investors, according to a European central banker named Gabriel Makhlouf, he said, according to Bloomberg and MSN.com, that Bitcoin investors need to be prepared to lose all their money, which is actually good advice. Because if you're getting into cryptocurrency, you really ought to understand you could lose.
I have to say something. I will definitely not be losing all my money. Now, I might be losing all my crypto, but I will not be losing all my money.
That's true. If you don't put all of your money into crypto.
Anybody who's putting all their money into crypto, you're making a huge mistake, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I have... the church. I don't have anything. I've taken a vow of poverty, but the church has money in crypto. Some of it in Bitcoin. I think 20% in Bitcoin right now. But then again, we've also got precious metal, which it probably won't grow as fast as Bitcoin will grow, but it also absolutely won't go to zero.
Well, if the Wall Street bets guys start pumping up the price of silver, then we may see an amazing growth in that marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, if that marketplace could be unrigged, I think there would be a huge growth. And
that would be amazing.
One of the reasons that I really love the idea of silver-based stable coins is because that gives us another way to be in non-physical silver without dealing with the corrupt Chicago Commodities Exchange machine.
The number here is 603-283-6160 if you want to join us here. I don't know a whole lot about Chicago commodities, so I don't really know what to say about that.
Well, the Commodities Exchange just happens to be in Chicago.
Okay.
That's where they buy. That's where they buy and sell gold and silver futures, pork bellies, whatever other commodities you have being sold on the market. The Commodities Exchange is in Chicago.
Gotcha. So this banker over in Europe, he says, quote, "Personally, I'm not sure why people invest in those sorts of assets, but they see them as assets clearly. Our role is to make sure that consumers are protected," he said. And again, he is the member of the European Central Bank.
I think you very well have failed to see why people get into those, now quote, assets.
Because of dirtbags like you.
They're not regulated by you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've had about as much protection as we can stand.
Yeah. You've protected us out of all of our wealth, or at least a good chunk of it. And this is a way for people to protect their wealth. Now, gold and silver have historically been, over many years, thousands of years, a hedge against inflation, against the control of the state when it comes to manipulating money. And cryptocurrency is a recent alternative to that has been a pretty successful hedge. In fact, it has hedged more successfully in the last decade than gold and silver has done. Because gold and silver, while it has gone up over time, as you pointed out earlier, Nobody, it does seem like it's undervalued, and it's likely due to the tremendous manipulation of those markets by these various different bankers and central banks and such that are selling gold and silver that doesn't actually exist. They're selling essentially gold and silver on paper, and they don't actually have the physical product to back it up.
Yeah, and in some cases, it's widely believed, although we don't know for sure, that the U.S. gold stocks that are supposed to be in Fort Knox are not actually there, that it's been rented to short sellers so that they could sell it and then presumably buy it back later at a lower price. But if that was their business model, silver's gone way up and gold has gone way up since that happened. So if that's their business model, then they're bankrupt. And there is an illusion of a lot of gold and silver as a result of that don't actually exist because it's believed to be in Fort Knox. At the same time, somebody else thinks he bought it 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. If you don't actually have physical ownership of your precious metals, you've got a possible big problem on your hands.
Oh, yeah. And, if you don't believe that's a problem, do what I did when I worked for Citibank and try to get physical delivery of your silver contract.
See how quickly they can pull it off. If at all.
Yeah, well, what they told me, first they just listened to, I was on the phone, so they listened to me like I had three heads, and then they were like, yeah, you can't do that. Well, that's how you're supposed to get silver and gold and commodities, right? You buy it on the Commodities Exchange, you buy the futures, and then in the future they deliver it. That's what a contract for future delivery is. And they're like, yeah, you can't actually do that.
Wow.
Not with gold and silver.
So they wouldn't fulfill it at all.
Well, they all seem to think that if I called the right brokerage house, they could do it, but they didn't do that. Huh. But every brokerage house I called was like, yeah, we don't do that.
Wow. So it was a dead end.
It was a dead end. I ended up buying my gold and silver at coin shops like everybody else.
That's amazing.
And the price is much higher at coin shops than the so-called silver spot, which is a lie.
So this guy doesn't get it, and you wouldn't expect central bankers to get it when it comes to cryptocurrency. He's clueless. He doesn't get why people value this, but we do, and we're certainly welcome. You're welcome to join us in the conversation here. 603-283-6160 if you want to get on the air with us here in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live. Kim.com, a major internet personality, is getting behind Bitcoin Cash. We'll tell you about it coming up.
Nice.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the number for you to join us here. In the remaining moments, we have enough time for you if you dial in right now. 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And nobody.
As I mentioned before, check out Chris on his website, freedomdecrypted.com. He has a talk show. It is a tech-oriented, liberty-friendly talk show. And he does it every Saturday, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, over at freedomdecrypted.com. It is not reliant on centralized platforms like YouTube or any of those other ones. You do your own video hosting. You do your own audio hosting. You do your own web hosting. Yep. Am I missing anything?
Nope.
And you like Mastodon. as well.
Absolutely. Mastodon and also Matrix now, too.
Yep, check them out over there. Oh, yeah, you got a Matrix channel on our chat server.
On the free, is it the Free Talk Live server or is it
LRN server, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Chat.freetalklive.com, chat.lrn.fm. They'll both take you to the same page with the instructions on how to get in there. So check those out and check out freedomdecrypted.com. Also, Nobody over at electnobody.com. Hopefully, we're going to have some good news about Cell 411 coming soon. We shouldn't break that until it's time, but we're getting close on some good news. I'll say that.
It's true.
Yep. So let's go to the phones here and talk to Jeff. He's in New Hampshire, calling from Laconia, listening to the Pulse of New Hampshire. Go ahead, Jeff.
Actually, Alexandria, but not far away. Hey, I love you guys. You know why?
Hey, thanks.
Because you remind me of my family in the 1600s and the 1700s.
How old are you?
You guys are all about a whole new... Actually, you know why? Because when the printing press was made, everybody was printing what they wanted to write. And this new platform called the Internet, which you guys are all part of, and I guess you're part of the Liberty State and Liberty, Press, and it's great because it's trying to circumvent the central calling of the, King George back then. So you're kind of like the modern revolutionaries, and I like that. My question
pretty good description.
to you guys is it seems like you're really pushing Bitcoin, et cetera. The cryptocurrency is fine, but I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And you got to be honest about it.
Of course.
Who controls the cryptocurrency?
Which one?
Each cryptocurrency is...
Isn't it most of the people that are bidding up and down on it, isn't it the same platform that the dollars bid up and down or anything else?
No.
Does it have any intrinsic value whatsoever except...
Okay, hold on. We're deep in a lot of questions here. Let's start with just the first one. Who controls cryptocurrency? The answer is, well, it depends which crypto. If we're just talking about Bitcoin, it would be a group of people. If it's Bitcoin Cash, it's a group of people. There may be some crossover between them. There's thousands of cryptocurrencies out there, but ultimately
Bitcoin. Let's just take Bitcoin because it's the most prominent and the oldest, which I heard about 12 years ago.
Right now, there are at least 10,000. The last time I checked, there were at least 10,000 nodes on the Bitcoin network. These are the people who are across the whole planet that have copies of the full, what they call blockchain. This is the public ledger that is the tech. But our listeners may not, so I have to explain it. So the blockchain is the public ledger that is the backing behind Bitcoin. It's one of the real technological advances. It is decentralized. It's distributed. It's all across the planet. We don't know who those 10,000 people are, but it could be you.
Well, actually, I am one of those people.
Okay, you are one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you run a node or a miner?
I don't run a miner.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
It's a simple question.
Yes.
How do you value it?
The market
trading constantly.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between that and the dollar?
Oh, my God, so much.
The difference between that and the dollar is we know what the growth in the number of Bitcoins will be. There will be 21 million total Bitcoins, whereas dollars, every time they print dollars, then the dollars in your bank account lose value.
I got a question for you then. I understand that. I'm an economics major. I understand all that.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, why do you think that that's any more secure?
It's not.
Than any other fiat currency?
It's not. And
you say it's not. What do you mean by that?
It's not. It's backed based on the market determination of its value. Okay, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
But he was asking about security, and it's far more secure than the dollar.
It's more secure in that the dollar. It's more secure in that the government does not control it. Okay, the government, if they want to come in and take it from you, they have to physically come and take it from you, as opposed to your dollars in your bank accounts. They can just send a letter or a phone call or an email and say, seize that money.
You don't think somebody can go in there?
I didn't say that.
And basically erase it or take it or allocate it or abscond it.
It doesn't work that way.
No, they can't.
And here's the reason why. Here's the reason why.
Okay,
what you're dealing
naive.
with,
I'm telling you,
Jeff,
you're naive.
Let me explain.
I'm a computer programmer. What's your background in programming and cryptography?
I'm just telling you, naive. So, what is it backed with? What is it back?
I don't want to go to that question
estate?
yet, Jeff, because you haven't listened to the answer to the previous question. You are asking about whether it's secure. You think someone can just go in and erase everything. And the reason why that isn't possible is because it's distributed and decentralized, because the blockchain exists in 10,000 places all at once. If you go in, Chris, tonight and edit your copy of the blockchain to give you all the Bitcoins or even half the Bitcoins, every other copy out there is constantly checking you and saying, whoa, this is fraudulent, so you've been kicked out of the network. We're not going to
So it's never been stolen?
It doesn't get stolen
it has
the
been
way that you
stolen
think.
in different ways. It's never been stolen by a violation of the protocol, but people's keys have been stolen, which means basically if you get somebody's keys, then you have the ability to basically masquerade as them, to spend their money, but that is not...
That's social engineering. That's just straight up stealing from somebody.
It's a
Sounds
different
like a lot
matter.
of verbiage to say that. Yeah, maybe it has.
Dollars have been stolen as well.
Right? Are you saying the dollars don't get stolen?
One of you two said you collected gold coins. Can I suggest something else?
Sure, go ahead.
Real estate. Even the Russians, at the fall of the USSR, could not take the real estate away from people.
See, they take real estate away from people all the time if they don't like what you're doing.
Yeah, if you don't pay your taxes, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just as bad as anything else. I understand.
Well, they can't take my Monero away.
Or if you smoke some weed on your real estate, they can take it away.
And here's the thing: there's this thing called diversification, right? You want to diversify your assets. I don't have all my money in crypto or all my value in crypto. I do have some crypto. I do have real estate. I do have I have a business. There's a lot of different things, and by diversification, if one of those things fails or they take one of them, it doesn't necessarily mean they have everything.
Yeah. So you have to think about when it comes to losing cryptocurrency or hacking or whatever. What nobody was trying to explain to you, Jeff, is that if you don't have good security, whether it's for your physical wallet with cash in it or whether it's for your digital wallet with Bitcoin in it, then it's your fault, right? Like if I leave my wallet on the back of an airplane toilet, somebody walks in and takes it, well, then that's my fault. It's not the cash's fault in my wallet. Similarly, if I leave my cell phone completely unlocked on the back of a toilet, the next person comes in, they take my cell phone, they go into my Bitcoin wallet, which I've also left unlocked. Then that's my fault. It's not the fault of the Bitcoin network.
Right. And here's the thing. With that. You're more likely to get your crypto back if you leave your phone on the toilet and lose it than you are if you leave your wallet on the toilet in a plane and lose it.
I wouldn't go that far.
Everybody knows how to spend your cash.
I would be true.
A lot of people don't know what to do with a Bitcoin wallet.
Well, no, it's more complicated than that. And so usually when you have some sort of wallet, there's a username and login if it's like Edge, or if it's if it's not, you might have a passcode on it. But you can still have the backups, right? The keys to back up those keys and recover that crypto.
Yeah, I was presuming
the guy that just lost like $1 billion recently because he couldn't remember his key, his password.
Yeah, that's tragic.
That can definitely
that just
definitely happen.
The guy was like, I'll make another $1 billion, which is great.
Yeah.
Now my next question is the Liberty State, the Free State.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What is the alternative to the Constitution, which was the greatest principles ever written?
Well, I'd say the New Hampshire Constitution is a better alternative to the U.S. Constitution.
Well, they're very similar. We don't have.
I think the New Hampshire Constitution is better.
The U.S. Constitution doesn't have the right, Article 10 rights.
The right to revolution. Yeah.
Right. Okay, but that's about it.
A lot of the New Hampshire Constitution is actually much stronger in its protections than the U.S. Constitution. So as far as written documents that are really old, I would say that the New Hampshire Constitution is superior.
But the problem with the Constitution...
Are you really feeling those protections?
I'm sorry?
Are you really feeling those protections? Do you think you actually have them here in New Hampshire?
No, and we don't have any protections from the Constitution either, because what happened is the
look up one thing. My name, Jeffrey Frost, versus the New Hampshire Banking Commissioner in the state of New Hampshire.
Jeffrey, thanks.
Could you email that to me?
Yeah, you may want to call in about that another night because we're out of time. But I appreciate all the questions. And I
definitely.
I appreciate the discussion. He said it was his first night listening to the show.
Well, welcome to the show. I hope we hear from you again, sir.
We're here 7 nights a week, by the way. So, you want to jump on the phone with us any old time. We're here. Always happy to hear from you. And thank you for listening out there. Join us online in the meantime, anytime over at freetalklive.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Questioning Authority is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
He's optimistic. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci is sounding positive on word that the vaccine for COVID-19 from Johnson & Johnson has proven effective.
This is a single-shot vaccine in which you start to see efficacy anywhere from 7 to 10 days following the first and only shot.
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine does not require special refrigeration, unlike the one from Pfizer. After the riot at the U.S. Capitol, there's disagreement over whether the additional fencing around the building should remain.
The new acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief says he does not want to see any of the fencing around the Capitol taken down. Quote, vast improvements to the physical security infrastructure must be made to include permanent fencing and the availability of ready backup forces to close proximity to the Capitol. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser does not want to see the fencing remain around the Capitol forever.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer have announced that Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who was killed in the Capitol riot, will lie in honor next week in the Capitol Rotunda. A federal judge has denied bail for Richard Barnett, the Arkansas man seen in photos with his feet on Speaker Pelosi's desk during the riot. This afternoon, President Biden spent some time visiting wounded veterans at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Before he departed the White House, he talked about the purpose of his visit.
These kids are amazing, and thank God there's not as many people to visit. All the people I'm seeing today who are being treated, more of them amputees, are people who, in fact, are retired, but they're real heroes.
The president's late son, Bo, served in the military and was deployed to Iraq as part of the Delaware Army National Guard. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office, 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital